Hello friends, welcome to Live Traveling. Today we'll see
Oaxaca, Mexico Complete Travel Guide. Things to do. Oaxaca, Mexico, a World Heritage City in southern Mexico. Oaxaca has a special identity that comes from indigenous cultures like the Mixtecs and Zapotecs. They built settlements close by and still have significant minorities across the state. Minutes from Oaxaca is Monte Albán, a lofty Zapotec city atop a ridge, and after losing a few hours in awe of its pyramids and views back to the city, you can marvel at the treasures discovered in one of its tombs at Oaxaca's Museo de las Culturas. Oaxaca's historic center is jammed with colonial-era architecture, constructed from unmistakable gray-green cantera stone. The food is delicious, and Oaxaca has 7 different mole sauces, while grasshoppers, nutritious but daunting, are part of the local diet. 1. Monte Albán. This awe-inspiring archaeological site is 10 kilometers southwest of Oaxaca, resting on a ridge 1,900 meters in height and 400 meters over the valley below. The top of the ridge was leveled off to form an acropolis in an almost unconquerable position. The settlement here goes back to about 500 BC and was at the peak of its powers in the middle of the first millennium AD. Then, for reasons unknown, Monte Albán was abandoned in the 9th century and later, in the 13th century, was used by the Mixtec culture as a place to bury their rulers. Some of the many indispensable sites are the North Platform, crowned with what are most likely temples, Los Danzantes, stones with Olmec reliefs of people in motion, the Southern Platform, another spectacular pyramid, and Platform J, which was a possible astronomical observatory. 2. Museo de las Culturas. Established in 1575, the former monastery of Santo Domingo de Guzmán was active from 1608 to 1857. Some of the buildings were used by the military during the War of Independence in the 1810s, and for the second half of the 19th century the whole monastery was a barracks. Since 1972, the monastery has housed a first-rate museum that presents a timeline of human history in Oaxaca across 14 rooms. You'll start with hunter-gatherers 10,000 years ago and journey through the Zapotecs, the abandonment of the great cities of Mesoamerica like Monte Albán, the arrival of the Spanish, the emergence of a new nation in the 19th century, and the lives of Oaxaca's indigenous communities today. Every room gallery is worthwhile, but if you only have time to skim through, be sure to see the gold jewelry, mask, and the crystal vessel from Tomb 7 of Monte Albán. 3. Church of Santo Domingo de Guzmán. Joined to the museum in the cloister, the monastery's church was completed in 1731 and restored in 1993. It boasts extremely rich stucco work that could be compared to the Capilla del Rosario in Puebla. In the vaulted entrance you can make out a tree of Jesse, delineating the Christ's ancestry. The intertwining patterns fill every surface of the interior and are traced with gold, up the flutes of columns, around the coffers in the ceiling and around the many pieces of polychrome sculpture. The statistics behind this monument are mind-bending. More than 60,000 sheets of 23.5 karat gold went into its decoration. 4. Museo Rufino Tamayo. Oaxaca's Museo Rufino Tamayo was founded by its prominent namesake artist and is housed in a fine 18th century mansion from the Viceroy period. The museum is devoted entirely to pre-Hispanic art, which Tamayo drew on for inspiration and collected across Mexico. In one sense you could say that the museum embodies 3 time periods, pre-Hispanic for its art, colonial for its venue, and modern as Tamayo curated the exhibition and decided its color palette. There are more than 700 pieces in 5 rooms, comprising stone figurines and sculptures. Check out the lifelike dogs, ceramic vessels, and reliefs. Zócalo. Between the cathedral and the Palacio de Gobierno is the Zócalo, shaded by Montezuma cypresses and centered on an Art Nouveau bandstand installed in 1901. There are occasional musical performances by the Marimba del Estado de Oaxaca at this charming spot. Those are some of many events to take place on the square, like the Grito de Dolores on the evening of September 15th. On this night, the mayor recounts a speech first given by the martyr of the War of Independence, Miguel Hidalgo. Each line is greeted with enthusiastic shouts of Viva! On December 23rd, there's a more esoteric event, La Noche de Rabanos, Night of the Radishes, when radishes are carved into weird and wonderful displays before wilting a matter of hours later. 6. Árbol del Tule. Under 10 kilometers to the east is the town of Santa Maria del Tule, at the center of which is 40-meter-high Montezuma cypress tree. This is of unknown age, but ranges anywhere between 1,200 and 3,000 years old. The tree is entwined in Zapotec legends and was planted in a site with spiritual meaning, supposedly by an Aztec priest to the wind god Ehecatl. Also noteworthy is the breadth of the trunk. Without taking the buttresses into account, this was 9.39 meters in diameter at the last measurement, which makes the Árbol del Tule the stoutest tree in the world. 500 people are able to stand in the shade of its branches. 7. Plaza de la Danza near the base of the Cerro del Fortinhill a few blocks west of the Zócalo is a grand series of staggered plazas with a fine view of Monte Albán from its uppermost point by the ex-convento de San Jose. The whole square was laid out in 1959 with the local cantera volcanic stone as a place for art exhibitions, political rallies and music performances. In the week of the Dia de Muertos around November 2nd, enormous sand tapestries are laid on the plaza opposite La Soledad Church. On the south side of the Plaza de la Danza you can get your hands on a traditional nido de Oaxaca sorbet, made from red prickly pear, tuna roja. 8. Museo Textil founded in 2006, this museum is all about the world of textiles, with an accent on traditional Oaxacan weaving, dyeing, embroidery, and beadwork. The permanent exhibits, amounting to 5,000 pieces donated by private collectors, are all imaginatively displayed and combined with temporary shows on all aspects of clothing and textiles, from modern fashion to ancient techniques from around Mexico, Guatemala, and Ecuador. The building itself is also delightful, on the corner of a row of 18th-century mansions and with a sequestered little courtyard. Viewing these bright quilts and clothes up close you'll be aware of the high level of craftsmanship, using techniques handed down from the Zapotecs. 9. Oaxaca Cathedral built from the same greenish volcanic stone as Oaxaca's other historic monuments, the cathedral was begun in 1535. Over the next 200 years earthquakes would require several rebuilds and the monument that greets you today was consecrated in 1733. The towers flanking the rounded pediment are even newer and date from a reconstruction after yet another earthquake in 1931. The interior decoration is all neoclassical from the 19th century, and the centerpiece is the altar with a bronze image of Our Lady of the Assumption crafted in Italy in the days of the Porfirian regime. 10. Jardín Etnobotánico in the 1990s this former shooting range was in danger of being turned into luxury hotel and car park before the painter and sculptor Francisco Toledo came up with the idea of planting a botanical garden. Over 2.3 hectares there are hundreds of plant species, all of which are native. These come from arid and humid climates, temperate regions and cold mountainous zones, presenting the full diversity of botanical life. Most exciting is the section dedicated to the Naquitz cave near the Zapotec settlement of Mitla. The corn and pumpkin seeds found in the cave date back 7,000 years and are the oldest signs of agriculture in the Americas. Also track down the Echinocactus Platyacanthus bisnaga cactus, which could be as old as 1,000 years and weighs 5 tons.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe.